What's good, everybody? Checking out an all new the RCWR show. We are just waiting to connect live here. Looks like we're waiting on one more outlet. Let me look here. Let's see. I think now we're connected everywhere. Let me just double check here one more time. Yeah, we got it that time. What's good, y'all? Lee Sanders here. You're checking out a new the RCWR show for Monday night of January 24th, 2022. Good God almighty. Can you believe it? The month of January is almost over. We are almost done with the first month in this new calendar year. I don't know how it's been for you guys, but at least at my end, it's been going by pretty damn fast so far. So, hey, I'm happy to be back with you guys. I know last week there was a couple of shows that we did not do. And it's kind of interesting how things had played out, because when it was all said and done, I actually ended up being under the weather, so to speak. I know I had came down with a cold. Luckily, it didn't get to a point where it was a chest cold, but my voice was coming and going. Oh boy, I had that gravelly Batman voice, and I tell you what had really made my freaking weekend, because I did work as sick as I was. I actually did miss a day of work though. Normally I'm the type of person, if I can help it, I do not call out. I do not call out. As far as I'm concerned, I've got to be really, really sick. I've really got to be completely out of the zone. I really got to not be feeling it physically and mentally to not want to go into work. And there was actually one day during the past week while I was sick that I said, I just can't go. I can't go. And you know, the rest did me a little bit of good, but I really wasn't able to catch up on proper rest until really over the weekend. And luckily, with a little bit of help from the wifey, I was able to get myself back up to, I won't say 100%, but the way I'm feeling right now, I'm at about 80, maybe 85%. So that's enough for me to run with, and I can pretty much just go from there. I've been taking a lot of vitamin C. I've been taking a lot of Alka-Seltzer Cold, Dayquil, NyQuil, Mucinex, but most importantly, been catching up on loads of rest, and it has been helping. So we'll see how tonight goes with the show. But I mean, I made sure hours before Raw came on tonight, I made sure that as far as preparations and all of that, I was very meticulous about what all I wanted to talk about here tonight, so we can pretty much just be in and out. That way I can try to conserve as much energy as possible, because my God, Saturday is the Royal Rumble. How about that? I know that threw a lot of people off in regards to the Royal Rumble, but look, WWE, they have decided that this calendar year going forward, they're going to be doing more pay-per-views on a Saturday. And, you know, I honestly, I have no problem with it whatsoever. I have no problem with it whatsoever, because if it means basically that Sundays will be free, and I can be in a position where I won't have to worry about covering a wrestling pay-per-view on a Sunday. Now, look, I know every single Sunday, it's not going to always be the case. There are going to be some pay-per-views I'm going to have to cover on a Sunday. But if it means that there's less of a load that I've got to worry about on a Sunday going into a Monday, when I've got work with my first job and then I've got classes, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys, I mean, that's kind of a burden on a Sunday night going into early Monday morning. And you got to stay up late for a pay-per-view if you're over here in the U.S., especially on the East Coast and everything. And then you're going to have such a short turnaround going into the next day and everything. Yeah, that can be very, very taxing. That can be very taxing for folks. So I'm all fine for the Saturday pay-per-views, honestly. I mean, it puts me in a position where whether I like it or not, sadly, if there was one bad thing, to each its own, but for me personally, the one thing that's kind of on a Saturday is usually I'm working Saturday nights at my second job, and usually it's pretty good. Usually I'm able to get off somewhere between 5 to 7:30. Very rare will they have me until 8 o'clock. Very, very rare. I mean, out of a whole calendar year, maybe 3 times max out of a year, I'll be booked on a Saturday night until 8 o'clock. But normally I'm out of there sometime between 5 to 7:30. So, it kind of sucks for me because I won't have that much time to recuperate, recharge and all of that. I'll pretty much have to, be eating on the go from one job, going into, okay, got to check out this pay-per-view, got to be in podcasting mode, taking down notes and all that. But I welcome the challenge, honestly. It wouldn't be the first time that I've had to immediately jump from work and then go right into coverage mode. Wouldn't be the first time. As some of you guys know that's been checking out some of my writing over at the 411mania.com site, you guys know I've been over there on Friday nights, well into Saturdays, doing the whole AEW recap, live coverage and all of that. So, comes with the territory, but I welcome it. It does lessen the load, though. I mean, how is it for some of you guys? Let me know. Is it a bit the same? Is it, changing for you in a way for the better with WWE now going with more pay-per-views on a Saturday and sometimes on a Sunday? I definitely sound off. I'd love to know what you guys think. We'll talk about Raw in a little bit. Look, this was their go home to Saturday's Royal Rumble. I'm going to say this up front. As far as Royal Rumble predictions go, we're not going to get into it tonight. I will definitely get into it on Wednesday's RCWR show. Okay, Wednesday's RCWR show, I will get into Royal Rumble predictions. Okay. But what a crazy ass weekend, a crazy ass fucking weekend, because from just a non-wrestling standpoint, just talking about sports for a moment, in all my years of watching the NFL, I have never seen such crazy ass finishes before in my entire life, man. I mean, for it all to just pretty much, I know we had that 1 week last weekend, not this past weekend we just wrapped up, but the weekend before, where we're going, Jesus Christ, all these fucking blowouts. We really didn't get truly a competitive game, not until you went into this past Monday. Not this Monday, this past Monday. That was the challenging game. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that was good. But everything else was essentially a blowout. It was nothing impressive whatsoever. So you went into this past weekend and you're going, okay, we got Brady, we got Rodgers, okay, we got Bills, we got Niners. Okay, these are definitely going to be pretty challenging. And as I had mentioned to some of my friends, I even had mentioned it to the wifey because she's a football fan as well, and she really starts paying attention when it comes to the playoffs, particularly as opposed to me, because I'm pretty much watching all the games that I can get. And I was telling them, I said, look, I gotta be honest, I'm not that confident about Tom Brady and the Bucks repeating. I think they've got a very challenging task up ahead here in dealing with the Rams, because that defense, I don't know, they could be causing a little bit of problems there for Brady. And I'm seeing what I'm seeing there, and Matt Stafford, I don't know. I think that could be pretty challenging. And I remember telling everybody, I said, if Bucks are able to get past the Rams, heaven forbid a scenario occurs where maybe they got to do something with the Bills. I just was not seeing, my whole thing was Bills in the Super Bowl. That's how I was looking at it. I said Bills in the Super Bowl. So to see what went down in that game over the weekend with Brady and crew, I just couldn't help but just go, what the fuck? What the fuck? For me personally, I looked at the damn second quarter And I said, okay, you know what? Forget this. I'm out. Just clock me out. I'm fucking done. Legit. That's what I said. I said, I am fucking done. Forget about it. I'm just not interested. I clocked out at about the second quarter of Bucks and Rams. When I think at that point, I believe the score was maybe 23. It was either 23-0 or 23-3. It was something weird in the second quarter. And I just remember looking at it going, yeah, I just don't see the Bucks doing anything. This game is done. Rams got this. And I'm already going, congratulations to the Rams. They did the unthinkable, and guaranteed we're going to get new Super Bowl champions, right? Because Bucks ain't repeating, okay? I'm already running around the house. I'm doing fucking laundry and shit. And next thing I know, my wife is watching the game with my mother-in-law, and they're like, what are you doing? This is like about an hour plus later. I'm going, I'm just doing some laundry. What's up? You may want to watch the TV because Bucks don't tied it up. Say what? Yeah. Don't play me like that, because they know how much of a Brady fan I am. I follow multiple teams, but Brady is just somebody I've followed years upon years upon years. I'm going, really? I turn on the TV, I'm watching, and it was just... You know how you have that false hope? You have that fucking false hope, and then the next thing you know, it just goes psycho-boo-boo. And I said, man, how y'all gonna just crush my heart like that? How y'all just gonna give me false hope, and then the reality really comes crashing down there? That Rams-Bucks game, look, just a little bit that I saw for those first two quarters. And then I did watch a little bit back on the NFL Network. I did watch a little bit of it back for third quarter and fourth quarter. And basically, Rams, when it's all said and done, Bucks had help from defense. The defense went out there. They did their job. They really are what kept giving Brady the opportunities to stay in the game. And let me tell you something, man. If you got Tom Brady in that pocket, if you are not putting pressure on him whatsoever, you're giving him that opportunity to be inside the pocket. You're able to have him do a really good job in reading his targets, assessing the situation, and you're giving him that 2 to 4 second window that he likes, and he can just, process and just boom, execute. Man, if you're not doing what you need to be doing, putting that pressure on him, with that hurry up defense and everything, you coming in at him with that blitz, then he is just going to always find an open target, and he's just going to have his way going down the fucking field. And that's how that game got as close as it freaking did, honestly. I mean, that would have been one hell of a fucking comeback when it's all said and done. Now, look, I'm not going to be talking about every single fucking game. Just me personally, I just want to home in on Bucks Rams. Shout out to my man, what's his name? Josh Allen of the Bills. He's got nothing to be ashamed about in that defeat to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. All these experts came on the radio shows today. Oh, that was kind of stupid. They shouldn't have did that deep punt. They shouldn't have done that. Everybody doing all this mathematical fucking theory about, well, this many seconds probably would have been able to come off, and this many more if they would have done. Look, that game was played perfectly as far as I'm concerned. Even if you would have been able, if you're the Bills, even if you would have been able to eat up an additional 3 seconds, okay, whoopie fucking do. So now we're talking about 10 seconds. Mahomes and crew, that's still a fucking eternity for them to do what the fuck they need to do when it's all said and done. Okay? So I ain't trying to hear that. But Josh Allen, I was completely taken back by his performance. Off and on, I saw a little bit of the Bills during the season, and it was, but it was more so the defense is what had caught my eye. The defense is what had caught my eye. But this was a virtuoso performance for Josh Allen. And I was quite impressed with what that young man was able to do. And I tell you what, just compliment, you're asking me if you're a Bills fan, what more do the Bills need to do? Look, I think if they could maybe get one or two more weapons on the offense, maybe that might help them out. I think the defense is just fine. If anything, you want to try to do everything you can in the offseason to keep the pieces that you got in play for your defense right now. You want to try to keep that. If you're a Bills fan, you're looking at that Bills defense, you definitely want to do everything you can to keep that intact, run that shit back and everything. But Josh Allen, that was a damn good performance. I was quite impressed with him. Look, as far as the whole Aaron Rodgers, as far as I'm concerned, San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy G and crew, they have owned Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is 0-4 against the San Francisco 49ers. And that is just, it's mind-boggling when you stop and think about that. For all the great stats that Aaron Rodgers is able to accumulate during the regular season, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's fucking great. Without a doubt, he is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. He will, whether some of us like it or not. He will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that's despite the fact that he's only got one Super Bowl to his fucking credit. One fucking Super Bowl to his credit. Just with all the stats, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But man, just that performance against the 49ers. Look, that was good D from both teams. To have it be such a low scoring game, 13-10, that tells me off the break, okay, defenses, they're doing what they need to be doing in these games. Okay, so when I hear a final score such as that, and I did watch the game in its entirety, but just for those that didn't watch the game, when you hear a score of 13-10, I don't want you guys thinking, okay, well, either the teams were that shitty or the defenses were that good. Which one is it? The defenses were actually that damn good. Okay, so this really could have gone, you know what I'm saying? This was all about just luck of the draw and all that shit, but this obviously was not Aaron's time. And now we've got a situation here where two quarterbacks who we've enjoyed seeing, a good majority of us, who we've enjoyed seeing for a good chunk of years, now their futures are both up in the air. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to stay, or is he going to, here we are here for what, maybe a third year in a row now, basically, where he's teasing the idea of, well, let's see what happens. Now, I'll give him credit. Aaron did say, obviously there's some decisions that's going to have to be made in the offseason, looking at where things are on the defense. You're also looking at what's going on the offensive side. We got coordinators. There's a whole lot of stuff that's up in the air right now. But one thing was certain that he said in his little press conference, he ain't down for a rebuilding process. He does not want to be part of a rebuilding process. So keeping that in mind, we're going to learn a lot more as we go into the off season. And, we hear about, if you're a Green Bay fan, okay, who all is up for grabs, whose contracts expired, who's a free agent, coordinators, things of that nature. But, obviously all of that's going to play a big factor. But I just find it interesting that Aaron Rodgers had said that whole thing about restructuring, because you're looking at Matt LaFleur and you're just hearing from everybody and you're going, okay, well, we're not hearing publicly anything about a restructuring process, a restructuring phase. So a rebuilding phase, we're not hearing anything about what the hell is, this is only coming from Aaron here, basically. So, honestly, my gut instinct, I truly believe Aaron wants to do everything in his power to end his career as a Packer. And I really hope he's able to get that opportunity. I really hope he is. But at the end of the day, you're sitting on, what's ultimately going to be his replacement. You've now been sitting on him for 3 years. You got to go and get a really good look at this kid sooner or later to figure out, okay, is this guy the future? Do we need to be investing in this young man, or do we need to cut our losses and go in a different direction? It's a disservice. It really is. It's a disservice to that young man. And my whole thing is, I'll say this, and then I want to talk about Tom Brady, and then we'll move on from the talk of football and all that. But my whole thing is, look, I'm thinking about the kid. That's all I'm thinking about right now, that's asking a lot of time and patience from that kid. And if that kid is willing to be in the shadows, continue to be an understudy for another season under Aaron Rodgers and all of that, you got to at least have some type of a verbal agreement or some type of a handshake deal with that kid that, okay, look, no matter what, after the 2022-23 season, no matter what happens, Super Bowl, no Super Bowl, we're committing to you. Aaron can go do whatever it is he wants to go do. And, that's going to be the end of that. That's what they got to do with that kid. And then as far as Aaron, push come to shove, show him some tough love. Honestly, show him some tough love if push comes to shove. But there's so many things that's in the air right now, so many variables. We're not going to know a whole lot about what's going on with Green Bay really until after Super Bowl season is over and done with. We go deeper into the summer. That's when we're really going to know what the hell is going on. But yeah, that's where I am with that. Now, Tom Brady, I like the fact that he was asked, hey, what's going on with you? Are you going to be returning next season? I like that he was asked that and everything. And obviously, you're asking this man the question like that immediately after he lost. But what I thought was so interesting this go round was the fact that for the first time in his career, Tom Brady, especially since he's been in his 40s, I really want to home in on that. This was the first time where it wasn't oh yeah, without a doubt, I'm going to run that back. Now we've gotten a Tom Brady that is, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how to answer that right now, and he tried to hurry up and be quick with it with the whole, hey, obviously, we just got done with this game and, my mind's on that right now. But I just thought that was a telling tale. I'm not reading too much into it, and I don't think many of you guys should as well, but just from an observation standpoint, just playing in real time. And I think, honestly, that's going to have to be a serious heart-to-heart talk with his wife and his kids, because he's been at this, 23 years so far. And, he has been in his relationship / marriage with Giselle, 15 years. And that's a lot of sacrifice. Anybody that has had the pleasure of either playing the sport of football or actually knowing somebody that has played football. I've been fortunate enough. I've personally have known in my time over the years of knowing people that have family members or had family members that played in the NFL and everything. And that is just the sacrifices that those men make to be out there on the field for those 17 weeks, man. It's fucking ridiculous. It really, really is. But 44 years of age, and you just look at all the stats that this guy was able to just make in this season alone, and just how close he was to capturing another Super Bowl ring. I know he's got that high drive, that competitive spirit, and when you played the way that he played this season, you really got to give him his just due. You really do. Whether you like Tom Brady or you hate him, you really got to give him his just due because, okay, you ain't got Fournette. All right, we're taking away AB. Okay, we're going to do this to you also on your offense. We're going to get rid of I think it was the left tackle or the right tackle there. We're going to get that guy out of here. And then the guy that's replacing that guy, okay, he's going to be dealing with an injury too. So that guy's going to be out. And okay, here's your third guy that's going to replace right, the second guy was replacing the first guy. Like all of this shit that was going on, and it was just pretty much the best way I could sum it up using an analogy, a food analogy. Okay, I want you to make this dish, but I'm taking away these key ingredients, right? It's like, okay, you're taking away my spices, but you're leaving me with the meat. Okay, well, I can still do something with the meat. I might not have this spice anymore, but I can still make this piece of chicken pretty fucking good. And that's what Brady was able to do. But eventually, his luck ran out. His luck ran out, and it was somebody else's time. But he's got nothing to be and I'm sure he's not. I'm sure he's not ashamed of. I'm sure he's just probably kicking himself in the ass right now. I'm sure he probably felt, we should have had that. We should have been able to go deeper. We should have been able to go further. But all things considered, what I just mentioned, he very fortunate to be able to get that team where they were able to get to in spite of all of that shit that went down. So, if you're asking me straight up as somebody that's been watching, and I'm not focusing on, refs blew this play and that, and, unfortunately, I don't spend my time and energy on that because at the end of the day, you're always going to have that one element. Not everything is going to be perfect. We've seen that with enough of these sporting games. Not everything is going to be perfect. There's always going to be, you got to have that room for debate. You've always got to have that room for human error, for discussion, and so I'm not focusing on the officiating, and I'm bigger than that. I'm not focusing on that. But for me, I think in all the years that I've paid attention to the career of Tom Brady, as far as Tom Brady goes, I think he's probably most likely going to have a serious heart-to-heart talk with his wife, with the kids, and figure out if he wants to run it back. Now, I know there's a couple of key pieces that's going to be up for grabs during the offseason. We got a little bit of shakeup that's going on the offensive end and on the defensive end. You got some players that are aging out. So do you really want to try to bring those guys back, or are you going to go in a different direction? Is Brady willing to take another hometown discount so that X amount of weapons can be given their respected money so they can try to stick around and everything and try to run it back? I just have a feeling that when it's all said and done, if I were to make a bold prediction, if not the 2022-23 season, then the 2023-24 season should be Brady's last. I just feel that when he is, okay, this is it, it's going to be because he's spoken with Giselle and the family. All right, this is the point that we've reached, and then they're going to make an announcement about it. I think there's that part of him that wants to have a nice big pretty grand finale, a nice proper bookend to his career. I don't see him just, okay, he lost this game and it ain't going to be like a Drew Brees type of situation. You feel where I'm coming from? It's not going to be a type of situation like that. I just don't see that happening. I could be wrong, but my gut instinct, if not this 2022-23 season being his last, win, lose, or draw, definitely the 2023-24 season. Now, as far as who I'm liking for the Super Bowl, because originally I was thinking, oh God, what was I thinking originally? I think I said something like maybe Bills and Packers was something I had said, if that was even possible. Now that things have gotten shaken up in a huge way, and just looking at everything that I've seen, I've got to go with, I got to go with Chiefs. And I'm going to say Chiefs. Man, this is tough, man. This is, you guys have no idea. Oh man. I don't know, man. Maybe Chiefs. Niners? Yeah, maybe Chiefs Niners is how I'm looking at it. Chiefs and Niners for your Super Bowl. And then to pretty much win it all, I'm going to say Chiefs to win it all. By the way, there's a really interesting article that I would encourage you guys to read. It has to do with a bunch of volunteers. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick for you guys. I believe the LA Times were the ones that had wrote this up. But apparently, bear with me here. I can pull this up real quick. Let me see, and I'll say Super Bowl. I should still have this article here. Let's see. Bear with me, guys. Yeah. Check it out. There's an article on LA Times, and they're covering the fact that apparently there are dancers. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just skimming ahead of an article here. Yeah, apparently 72 hours of unpaid work as in regards to this year's Super Bowl halftime show. They're looking for dancers and other people that could be, helping out behind the scenes and shit, that could basically do the work for 72 hours behind the scenes, unpaid work. So they're looking for volunteers. And these are not for paid positions. And I had to do a double take when I saw that. I thought, surely they mean, they're looking for help and, you're going to get paid. But as I was reading up on this article, and then I was piggybacking, seeing what certain people were saying in response to the article on social media, a lot of people were saying, hey, I actually did some volunteer work for Super Bowl back in blah, blah, blah. At the time, I was just so high on the experience, just being able to do it, having the bragging rights. But hindsight being 2020, I wish I could have gone back. No, I would have not done those hours upon hours upon hours of work for free. They would have had to pay me. So that's kind of crazy that we've got the entertainers, we've got the directors, the cameramen, and all these other people. They're going to be getting paid their money. And yet when it's all said and done, when it comes to these volunteers that's doing their stuff behind the scenes, yeah, they're not getting paid. I find that to be quite disturbing. So go check out that article a little bit more. It's actually a pretty good read. It's probably about a 5-minute read or less at most. But hopefully, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jay-Z and a couple of other people, they've got this relationship and position in the NFL and everything. So they're in the ear of Roger Goodell. You hear something like that and it's, wait a minute. Nah. Pay these people. Pay these fucking people. And you know what? Even if you can't pay them, the next best thing that you should be able to do for these guys, if you're not already fucking doing it, you should be able to give them whoever is the top head motherfucker in charge of putting together these halftime shows and everything. And when it comes to letter of reference, letter of recommendation, you need more than just a contact number and a name on that fucking resume. You need a lot more than fucking that. So hopefully they kind of, I have a feeling this is going to work itself out way before the Super Bowl. Trust me on that. But all right, so that's enough football talk. All right, I'm not going to be getting that deep into football talk again. So hopefully you guys appreciate it. I know you guys normally, off and on over the years, you like to talk of football. So I'm glad we were able to open up talking about football. Some wrestling stuff did go down over the weekend. I did have an opportunity to check out the Wrld on GCW. Their pay-per-view event that they did over the weekend. I'm not going to be long-winded. I'm not going to be, and this happened. Look, by now, everybody that was curious about the Wrld on GCW, they went about checking out the pay-per-view. However they were able to check out the pay-per-view, if they were curious, they made it their business in checking it out. Me personally, I'm like this in regards to GCW. First of all, shout out to the men and women that had appeared on that card. Shout out to them. They did their very best to bust their ass, to entertain, and I appreciate the hell out of them for that. But I've seen some shows in my time. This show was not impressive whatsoever. It was not impressive whatsoever. You know, I checked this out because I had heard for a couple of months the buzz that GCW was building up and everything. And I know I wasn't the only one that had checked out this particular pay-per-view from the weekend. I know there were many others. It was their first time checking out a GCW show. I'll tell you this. Hammerstein Ballroom, what a great fucking turnout for a crowd. That mofo looks sold out. Bunch of people all around the ring. Bunch of people in the nosebleed seats up in the balconies. Great fucking turnout. Great fucking turnout that it was. For me, GCW, this event, and just my thoughts on GCW overall, coming from the Wrld on GCW event, people want to feel like they are part of something, especially something so underground, something so special, something that they can say, oh, well, I was here day one, or I was with this promotion. I was checking out this promotion when blah, 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 blah was going down, and nobody else was giving this promotion the time or day, blah this, blah that. And with this event, I just kind of felt as though what wrestling fans like me had checked out with ECW, what we experienced with ECW, what we experienced with the original TNA days, I feel as though that's what some of these fans are hoping they can achieve with this GCW. For me, GCW reminds me of a light version, of a great value version of, and I'm being totally honest, of ECW and CZW. That's what it reminds me of tremendously. You know, there's a bunch of people that was on this card that honestly I did not care for, with the exception of Matt Cardona, who has continued to go out there and he's been fucking killing it. He's killing it on Impact. He's killing it in the NWA. What he was doing there with GCW. I'm liking what Matt Cardona has been able to do with this revitalization to his wrestling career post WWE. I mean, shit, he just made headlines this week where apparently he's challenging Jordan Grace for the Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship. So that should be pretty damn interesting. But besides the Matt Cardona match, that was at the pay-per-view from over the weekend. He was in action against, I'm looking at the card right now, he was in action against Joey Janela. And shout out to Joey Janela. Joey Janela, I know he used to deal with a lot of bad jokes, especially in regards to his weight. He has really done a great job and hitting the gym. Phenomenal shape. He is in phenomenal shape. I thought the match that Cardona and Joey Janela had was pretty good. The match itself was good, but man, we can all be in agreement. There was just so much unnecessary what the fuck bullshit that was going on in this match. This person showed up, and then this person showed up in the match, and then this person showed up, and then just when you thought all things were said and done, this person had showed up in the match. There's just a whole lot of, just putting that to the side, what Cardona and Joey Janela did was pretty damn good. I also thought that for what it was worth, Ruby Soho, Ali Catch, I thought for what they did, you know, it was okay. I couldn't help but, and that was my first time actually watching Ali Catch. I thought as far as eye candy goes, you know, nice thick little woman. I thought she, you know, eye candy from that standpoint, but I couldn't help but read up on the reviews of her from over the years. And a lot of wrestling fans were pretty much saying the same thing. They were like, you know, her in-ring wrestling, you know, is below average. You know, she's really focusing about her character, and, you know, she does this comedic stuff. Sometimes it hits. A lot of times it's flat. Some people were talking about how she's in a rebuilding phase right now with her gimmick and all that. I know she's usually doing her thing with, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's her that's usually pairing up with Effie, and they're doing the team Bussy or whatever. You know, I thought she was okay. You know, I thought she was okay. Speaking of Effie, the Jeff Jarrett Effie match. What the fuck? First of all, 54-year-old Jeff Jarrett. Phenomenal shape. Phenomenal shape. Now, I know you guys that watch WWE, you are just faithful WWE. Trust me when I say this, if you did not watch this GCW pay-per-view. At 54 years of age, and now that he has put his demons in his rearview mirror, and he's been sober for a few years now, Jeff Jarrett physically is in the best shape I have seen him in since maybe he was at his peak in TNA. At his peak in TNA. I'm talking about the TNA original days. Okay? I mean, his build, this dude is jacked. I mean, naturally jacked. It's like this man dipped into a fountain of youth somewhere, and I was quite taken back. You don't believe me? Go check out some of the pictures on my Twitter page at the RCWR show, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This dude is fucking jacked. I know you guys saw him on SmackDown. You wouldn't even know when you see the photos of him from GCW. You wouldn't even know that he had all that under there with the stupid ass little getup that he was wearing on Friday SmackDown. First of all, I don't know why the hell Jeff Jarrett was on this GCW card. I understand for whatever respected reason from the last GCW show. That's pretty much how you had Jeff Jarrett, the last outlaw. That's how you somehow had the seeds planted with Effie, and okay, we're going into, but I just couldn't help but look at this and say, Jeff, you're better than this, man. You're a Hall of Famer. You're a TNA original. You helped found TNA. Without you, without TNA, the landscape of professional wrestling as we know it right now probably wouldn't even be where it is right now. thanks to you, we were able to see the phenomenal AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Robert Roode, James Storm, just Keith Mitchell, Abyss. Like, we going on and on and on and on and on. And so for Jeff Jarrett to be involved with this promotion, look, he must have been just doing somebody a serious fucking favor. I don't know if he still has that WWE Legends deal, but shout out to WWE for allowing him. If he is still, in fact, under his Legends deal, shout out to them for allowing him to do that GCW event. But I just couldn't help but just shake my head. This match, if you even want to call it a fucking match, I just felt it was a fucking abomination, honestly. I hate to burst that bubble, but I'm calling it how I honestly felt that it was. I remember at one point, I don't know if it was Jeff Jarrett that was on his knees or if it was Effie that was on his knees. I want to say maybe at one point Jeff Jarrett was on his knees. And the fans were basically saying, suck his dick, suck his dick, suck his dick. They wanted, I'm like, whoa. And you could tell Jeff Jarrett was really rattled by that shit. You could tell he really, right? Because we know he's kind of doing this whole born again, type of deal and everything. He looked a little bit rattled by some of the stuff that was going on. This was just, Jeff Jarrett deserves better. And he should get better, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying he's The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or anything of that nature, but which of these things don't belong? You're just going down the card. You're just going, well, definitely Jeff Jarrett. So that's all I got to say. I know that Effie has a lot of fans out there. Much like GCW, it's a unique taste. You got to have an acquired taste for it. Don't care for Effie. Personally, don't care for GCW. I gotta say, what a shit show of a tag team match that they had that pretty much had closed out the pay-per-view. You would have thought that Jon Moxley, being as how he's the GCW World Heavyweight Champion, you would have thought his match against Homicide, which for what it was worth, was actually a pretty decent match. You would have thought for what it was worth, that would have closed out GCW. Fuck no. We got fucking Matt Tremont and Nick Gage taking on the Briscoe brothers. Open challenge for the GCW Tag Team Championships. Okay, I guess, right? I'm kind of glad that FTR did not appear. A lot of people were hoping that maybe FTR was going to appear and face the Briscoes. No. There is plenty of money to be made off of Briscoes and FTR. And if Tony Khan is eventually going to be pulling the trigger on Briscoe brothers in AEW, I'm glad then that FTW didn't have anything to do with this particular show. Let that be on AEW so for all intents and purposes. But I believe that match, that main event match for the GCW tag team titles, I believe that match was as short as it was because of time restraints. Because they pretty much had to do a hard, 11 o'clock, like go, right? So, because that match was only 5 minutes and change. But I gave you guys a shout out. I had polled you guys asking you all, what did you think about GCW? For those of you that had checked it out. And the poll had went like this. Shout out to everybody that had cast their vote. Let me pull it up here. I really didn't tweet that much today. Here it is. And there's a day and a half left for you guys to cast your vote. 28% gave the Wrld on GCW a thumbs up. 37% gave it a thumbs down. 35% middle of the road. Notice how we almost got a tie there for middle of the road and thumbs down, but with the slight lead right now, thumbs down. And that's via Twitter. Those results are coming in via Twitter. Now, for those of you that may be a little bit curious about the YouTube poll, I got the YouTube polling results here. And I got to tell you, the YouTube polling results, I was quite surprised at the number of people that had actually checked out the pay-per-view event for what it was worth. Small little snapshot, but we got a bigger snapshot on Twitter. For the YouTube community, those that voted, they had said thumbs up at 63%, thumbs down at 31%, and middle of the road at 6%. So I happened to be around when Jason, shout out to Jason Solomonster, I happened to have been around when he was doing his GCW recap, which if a lot of you guys, you want to get a lot more nitty gritty, I definitely would give that a high recommend. I definitely agree with what Jason had said about the show overall. I definitely agree with the overall consensus of those that, had checked out the show. I even agree with my colleagues over at the 411 Mania site that had, pretty much scale of 1 to 10. They gave the show a 6 out of 10. I think Jason even gave it a 6-ish out of 10. I'm definitely in agreement with everybody. What I had saw, it was a 6 out of 10. Is it something that I would, me, first impressions mean everything to me. First impressions mean everything to me. And for a first impression, I definitely do not see myself ordering this pay-per-view, like future GCW events. I don't see myself ordering future GCW events on a monthly basis. I don't see that happening. I would actually be the type, I got to look at the card. It's got to be fucking studded. It's got to be studded for me to go out of my way to freaking check it out. But that's just me. To each its own. To each its own. I know that, we all as wrestling fans aren't going to be syncing up. You're going to like certain things, and other people, this is kind of one of those things where I saw it. Hey, happy I saw it. But as far as hooked, talking about it on a regular basis, nah, I don't see that. Somebody had asked me recently, Lee, what's up with doing more Impact Wrestling? What's up with covering Impact Wrestling again on a regular basis? And when you're barely able to get in 100,000 viewers on a weekly basis for your TV show, and then it keeps switching around on the different networks, and for right now it seems, for all intents and purposes, they've had a nice good track record being on Access TV. I don't know if they're still doing their thing on Twitch and all of that other stuff, but for me, there has to be a overall demand from listeners, from followers of the show. There's got to be a overall consensus of, definitely need to talk about this, a lot more, rather than just, this one person or these two people here, they liked it. So yeah, man, we gotta go out of our way and we gotta freaking, cover this for these 2-3 people. No, it's gotta be unanimous. It's one thing if maybe once in a blue moon covering a pay-per-view, like Bound for Glory, Slammiversary, that's one thing. But to be talking about on a weekly basis, and then add on, and we got to prioritize. That's the other thing. You got to prioritize. It's like we're already talking about NWA. We're already talking about WWE. We're already talking about AEW. At times we talk about ROH, New Japan. We're definitely going to be talking about WoW again. Newsflash for you guys, in case you had missed it, I shared it on social media, but for those of you that didn't read up on it, WoW Women of Wrestling, they're going to be back this fall. But in the meantime, they've got their entire season available on the CW app and also on Pluto TV. But that's not the best part. Here's the best part. There are now available on those respected outlets There are never before seen episodes of WoW Women of Wrestling. And I'm not talking about a scenario where, oh, it's only one episode or two episodes that were never before seen. Nah, man, we're talking about almost, I gotta go back and look at the count. I think we're almost hitting double digits. I think it's almost 10 never before seen episodes of WoW Women of Wrestling. And this was something that myself and Mish, when we had interviewed David McClain, shout out to Mish, by the way. Hope you're doing okay, brother. This was something that me and Mish, when we were talking with David McClain, owner of WoW Women of Wrestling, we were, asking about the second season of WoW while they were still on Access TV. And we were told from David McClain, I believe we were also told from Selena Majors, that everything that had played out with that first season on Access TV, that pretty much was in the books. We pretty much were told that the second season, the second half of WoW Women of Wrestling, that it pretty much was already in the books, and that pretty much we would see the first half of that play out. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. So as you all saw, when Beast defeated Tessa Blanchard to become the new WoW Women's Champion, they pretty much had a whole nother arc, a whole batch of episodes already in the can in regards to her run as champion. So, so you all may want to check those outlets out. Now, for those of you that have never done anything with Pluto TV is free. You don't need to pay anything. You can download Pluto TV right now on your respective device or pull it up on your web browser, and you can pretty much watch CW. You can pretty much do the same thing with CW. You don't need to do anything as far as who's your cable satellite provider. You don't need to do any of that silly fucking shit. Just download those respected apps, go in the search box, pull up the show, boom, you're pretty much ready to go. So, and I will later this week, I will be talking about those lost episodes. I'm gonna do them like we did the old WoW shows that we did back in the day. I'm gonna pretty much do them just like that. So once I figured out when I'm gonna do a date and time and talk about those shows, I'll definitely give you guys a heads up for what it's worth. Okay. So yeah, I thought that was awesome news though that came as we were going right into the weekend. So that might have easily got lost in the shuffle for a lot of you guys. But yeah, definitely. And I tell you what, if you're kind of on the fence about WoW, this is my challenge to you. Watch the first 2 to 5 episodes and then hop on my YouTube channel or pull up my WoW recaps. The audio versions are available on demand and on the downloads, and you can pretty much get my reactions to how I felt about those shows, and then that can so I think that's kind of cool. That can kind of help guide you guys along and everything, piecing together what all you had saw playing out before your eyes. Look, everybody saw Raw tonight, right? I know you guys, we don't need to do the whole full recap. I mean, at this point, people can just pretty much go online or they can just pull it up on their DVR or whatever. But I'll definitely talk about the key points from Monday Night Raw in a hot little bit. I'll give you guys my overall takeaways and all. Shout out, though, to you guys, because if you haven't done so already and you've been enjoying yourselves so far, make sure, that is, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button. When you hit that like button, you really do your part in helping spread more awareness about our content, especially when you're hitting that like via YouTube, as it does a really good job in helping YouTube spread our content out more to a wider audience. So do that, and thanks. And also feel free to subscribe. That way, for sure you ain't missing out on any new content that comes your way. Last we were on the air, I mean, a whole lot of crazy shit had went down since last we were on the air. But I definitely, before I go any further into the show, I want to send my heartfelt thoughts, condolences, thoughts and prayers to the family of comedian, actor Louie Anderson. We lost two this past week. We lost Louie Anderson and we lost rock and roll singer, actor, political activist, Meatloaf. I'll talk more about Meatloaf in a hot little bit, but Louie Anderson, I definitely want to home in on. Louie Anderson had passed away. He was in his, He was in his late 60s. He passed away pretty much due to cancer. Cancer is what had got him. But what a great fucking comedian he was, because Louie Anderson's comedian, his whole routine, his stick and all that, if I were to just kind of sum him up as a comedian, Louie Anderson was one of those cats. He didn't beat a joke down to death. He wasn't one of those type of comedians that fed you something, you had to really marinate on it, and then he would just kind of circle right back to it and just attack it from a few different angles until he just really milked the hell out of the point he was trying to make. He wasn't one of those type of comedians whatsoever. You know, he pretty much was very light on his feet. And I know that's kind of, considering he, for all of his career, a big guy. But those of you that know of his comedic career, you know exactly what I mean when I say very light on his feet when it comes to his comedy. What I mean by that is he was so quick-witted with great dry execution, right? I don't mean in a monotone type of way, but you just would have had to actually live through his comedy, live through his routines to know what I'm talking about. But he really had got his big break in the late 70s going into the 80s, thanks largely in part to Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield was pretty much the one responsible for really blowing up the scene and introducing the world to Robin Williams and all of that with his shows that he was doing. And in regards to Louie Anderson, it was through Rodney Dangerfield's Presents Young Comedian special that Louie Anderson, pretty much had became a household name. And then adding more to that, to his rise, to his ascension, was when he appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And anybody that knows a thing or two about The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson back in the day, if you made it onto Johnny Carson, that meant Johnny Carson, at some point, he saw your shit, he heard about you, and he thought your shit was on point and that you definitely earned a right to be on his show. Louie Anderson found himself to be in that position, and just those two avenues alone for Louie Anderson, it really helped open the doors for him in a huge way. It was kind of nice seeing some people on social media offer some thoughts, but all I kept seeing was Coming to America. I saw a little bit on his work as a comedian, but I just kept it was either comedian or Coming to America, and it was, well, no, there was a lot more to his resume than that. I mean, definitely going into the final years of his life, he was still going out there. He was acting. I don't watch the show, but if you're familiar with Young Sheldon, he had appeared on that. There was a whole bunch of stuff that he had did. He probably had maybe a little break period there where I would suspect the cancer was progressing worse. There was probably a period there where maybe for about almost 2 years, 3 years, he didn't do any more projects, but he was still relatively active. True story. Shout out if you go back to the 80s with me, because originally, how many of you guys remember the hit TV series Perfect Strangers? If you remember Perfect Strangers, you'll find this just, y'all probably didn't even know this. This is fun trivia to know. But originally, when it came to the pilot episode of Perfect Strangers, Louie Anderson had the part of Larry Appleton. But instead of being named Larry, he was Lou Appleton. Okay? And once the series got picked up, so the pilot, they did the pilot. And for those of you that don't know a thing or two about pilots and, you know, TV shows and all that, you know, basically the way it works, you know, you do a pilot, the old formula, you do a pilot, focus group comes, they check it out, then they check it out, you know, they give their thoughts. Okay, well, we think you should do this, maybe make these tweaks. You know, you find out the adjustments that you need to make, all that good stuff, and then pretty much go from there. And then usually that feedback combined with, you know, the producers, you might get something from the higher ups, the higher up TV execs, as far as changes that you have to make. You had a lot of instances where back in the day, you would do a pilot TV show or a pilot movie, and then if the numbers were really good, and it was a case of, okay, well, we definitely, you know, want to see this come back. Okay, all right, well, let's see if we can get the necessary parties involved. A perfect example, Star Trek under William Shatner. I always forget the original captain's name, Captain Pine, Chris Pine. I forget the actor that portrayed him on the pilot episode of Star Trek. But when the pilot had got, if I remember it right, I think it was a case of once they did the pilot movie, the numbers were moderately decent, but I think originally it wasn't going to get picked up. And then they decided, TV executives decided, no, let's go ahead, let's pick this up and let's see if we could do something with this. And then when they tried to reach back out to Christopher Pine, you know, the actor that played that character, you know, he pretty much was like, I don't want to be tied down to a fucking TV series. I'm done. Enter William Shatner. Okay. Or Starsky and Hutch. Starsky and Hutch before Bernie Hamilton had came into the role as their commanding officer. Originally, their boss, you would notice if you saw the actual pilot episode of Starsky and Hutch, the original captain. Oh man, I'm trying to think of his name right now. I would actually, he was a drug kingpin across 110th Street. I'm trying to think of his name right now. I'm actually looking at the cast notes right now. Veteran actor too. I'm looking. Bear with me a second here. Ed Bernard. I'm pretty sure. No, not Ed Bernard. It's not Ed Bernard. I think it is. Why does Paul Benjamin look familiar? No, it's not Paul Benjamin. I'm getting close, though. I'm getting close. I think it was... bear with me a second here. Because as soon as I say his name, you guys are going to be like, oh, yeah, that fucking dude. Let me look here. Bear with me a second here, guys. I'll pull this fucking name up. And let me just pull up the cast. Yeah, but before Bernie Hamilton was cast as Starsky and Hutch's boss, this guy was in the original title. Why does that name sound familiar? No, that ain't it. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, guys. I'm so fucking sorry. I wish I could give you guys the name, but I'm drawing a blank. I'm not. Let me look here. It might be this guy. Hang on. No, I'm not. See, I'm not able to see the profile fucking pictures. So forgive me there. I tried. At least I can say I tried. Anybody want to try to help jog my memory in the chat, go ahead. But so yeah, you had shit like that would happen all the time, basically, is the whole point. Sorry to get sidetracked there. But yeah, once TV executives decided, okay, we want for this to come back, we're going to give it the green light for a series. But we don't think Louie Anderson should come back in the role of Appleton. We just don't feel that he's got the right chemistry there with his co-star. So when the series got picked up, Anderson was shown the door, and ultimately his role went to Mark Lynn Baker, and instead of him being named Lou Appleton, he became Larry Appleton. And then of course you got Coming to America. We pretty much know about that. For me though, Life with Louie, that series ran for 3 seasons on Fox. Man, back in those days in the 90s, no bullshit, from 92, I would say, from 99 until I would say 2000, maybe 2001. That was a really great time to be, into your cartoons during that time period. It was, especially when it came to Fox, because during that period, Fox was showing some banging ass cartoons, man. And one of my personal favorites was Life with Louie. Louie Anderson on this series, if you remember, what was the joint with Howie Mandel, Bobby's World? If you remember Howie Mandel's Bobby's World series, Life with Louie pretty much had borrowed elements from that, but I thought Life with Louie was much more funnier than Bobby's World. That series pretty much was based on Anderson's real life childhood, living with 10 siblings, a very nice, kind-hearted mother, a loud, obnoxious, crazy-ass father. He tackled it all on that animated series, even struggling with his weight, how he was exposed to comedy, how he dealt with being picked on, teased on, bullied. It was a great fucking series. It actually so damn much. It actually had 2 daytime Emmys. That's how good that series was. I thought that was a series that was going to somehow keep going, but it had a very, very short run. Something else that kind of went under the radar, as a lot of people kept bringing up Louie Anderson, and that's the fact that Louie was the host of the revived Family Feud. Everybody thinks about the joint with, who is it? Steve Harvey. Everybody thinks about Steve Harvey and everything, but for what it was worth, Louie Anderson was a damn good host on Family Feud. He didn't do it that long. He did not do it that long. He did a lot of episodes, but he did not do it that long. He only did it for about 2 years, and that was it. And it wasn't a case where Louie has stepped down. Louie was greatly honored for winning that role of being the game show host, so much so that when it was leading up to him doing the very first episode of Family Feud back in the late 90s, I think his run went from 99 to 2001, maybe 2002-ish. He actually had tried to get Anderson. Richard Dawson. I'm sorry, Richard Dawson. Anderson had reached out to Richard Dawson to pretty much kind of like a passing of the torch. But Richard Dawson, he had refused. And it was kind of like, okay. Also, when 9/11 had hit, so this is stuff that most people aren't talking about. When 9/11 had hit, Anderson had fucking put together a really cool ass 9/11 tournament edition of Family Feud, where the fire department for New York City and the NYPD basically like I forgot how much money was raised, but it basically had went to both organizations for recovery from the September 11th attacks. He eventually got replaced by I can't think of the guy's name, but dude from Home Improvement. I'm not talking about Tim Allen. I'm talking about the guy with the flannel and the beard. He pretty much got let go from the show and was replaced by Flannel Guy. So that's pretty much what happened with him. But great fucking comedian. Great fucking actor. Godspeed, Louie Anderson. See, I know my shit. This is off the top of my head because I experienced just all of this shit just in real time and all of that. It's kind of nice seeing him in Coming to America too. Now that you kind of considering all things, isn't that kind of, he lived just long enough to pretty much do that, and that pretty much, right? When you really stop and think about it. Meatloaf, I'm not as long-winded. Wasn't really a fan of Meatloaf's music, but I knew enough about his catalog. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I Would Do Anything for Love. I remember when I Would Do Anything for Love had came about, but particularly the music video. Oh my God, MTV and VH1, they used to play the fuck out of that music video. Oh my God, it would just drive me fucking crazy. I mean, guaranteed, out of an hour, you would see that video twice. That's how popular that song was back in the day. Meatloaf, and you look at his resume, you might have not cared for his music, but you probably respected him as an actor because he was in a ton of shit. A ton of TV shows, B-rated, C-rated movies and everything. Did a pretty good job playing a bad guy. I still remember the one season of Celebrity Apprentice that he was on. If I'm not mistaken, he got cut, I think, during the 2nd or 3rd week of Celebrity Apprentice. And I felt that maybe he could have been, because I remember back in the day, long before Trump started the whole politics, all of that, believe it or not, there was a time when you had millions that will flock towards the Celebrity Apprentice or just the Apprentice, and they would watch that show, man, and man, that was just, feels like it was so long ago in its own little island as far as a piece of pop culture history, if you will. But yeah, I thought for sure Meatloaf was going to be in the final 8 or the final 4. I felt that fucking confident in him. And you might have known him from his political standpoints. I mean, he was always outspoken. I know leading up to his passing, he was very passionate about speaking on mask or no mask, about this whole COVID pandemic. I'm not going to reiterate what all he had to say. I am aware, though, that there are some people that's looking at some of the things that he had to say about mask, no mask, this pandemic, and they're looking at it as a situation where, well, the chickens have come home to roost, haven't they? You've got people that are making some pretty fucked up jokes, about his passing and all of that. I'm not going to repeat some of it because it's pretty tasteless, but look, it really depends. No bullshit. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Some people might be glad that he passed because of the rhetoric that he was putting out there. It was pushing buttons. It was like that. He was pushing buttons. But I know for the majority of people, whether you knew him for his singing or you knew him for his acting or you knew him for his political beliefs, one thing that we can all definitely agree on, Meatloaf was no stranger in speaking his piece. He didn't care if you liked what he had to say or not. He took advantage of that freedom of speech, and he always wore his heart out there on his sleeve. Kind of interesting when you think about it, because pretty much when he was a singer, because I know in the later years he really kind of health problems and all of that, but when he would be out there live concerts, that's something that I used to always hear about back in the day. Oh man, as far as who you wanted to see on stage in concert, I used to always hear, man, if you really want to watch somebody great live in performance, man, you gotta fucking check out Bruce Springsteen. Man, you ain't never seen a live concert like a Bruce Springsteen concert. If I didn't hear Bruce Springsteen, I would always hear Meatloaf. If I didn't hear Meatloaf, I would hear Bon Jovi. If I didn't hear Bon Jovi, I would hear Dave Matthews Band. But there's always like a usual suspect of folks back in the day that I would hear about. It's like, you got to see them live. Oh man, they really give you your money's worth. You got to see them live. And Meatloaf was always somebody. I used to always hear something about Meatloaf going into, I would say, maybe the mid 2000s, like maybe around 2005-ish, 6s. I used to always hear something about him. But yeah, rest in peace to those guys. So look, Raw for this week. Can we talk about Raw? Or actually, you know what? We'll get to Raw in a hot second. Let me go over this real quick. From the weekend, I want to show some love to Big Time Wrestling. They had held a live super show and fan fest event. Try saying that 10 times fast. They held that over the weekend out in South Carolina. Quick results: Scotty 2 Hottie picked up a win over Teddy Goods. Brock Anderson got a victory over Lodi. Scott Steiner was in action. He got a victory over Dirty Joe. Matt Hardy picked up a dub over Dynamite Danny Miles. Meanwhile, Jerry the King Lawler beat up Mr. Number 1 Georgia South. And in the main event match, FTR defeated the Rock and Roll Express. So I am trying to see if I can find some type of footage that's out there. I've seen little, stuff here and there, but I haven't really heard the full blown, what's going on with the show when it's all said and done. Also, WWE held a live event, looks like this past Saturday, out in Corbin, Kentucky. Here's the results for that. AJ Styles defeated Austin Theory. Meanwhile, Omos defeated Montez Ford. WWE Raw Tag Team Championship match, Alpha Academy defeated the Dirty Dogs. Bobby Lashley picked up a win over Kofi Kingston. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte retained over Naomi. Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch defeated Doudrop, Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan in a fatal 4-way. And in your main event, the Bloodlines, Roman Reigns and Usos defeated the team of Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Big E. Those are your WWE results from Kentucky. Also, gotta show love to these guys. Warrior Wrestling 18. Warrior Wrestling 18 was over the weekend as well. Silas Young picked up a win over Davey Bang. Meanwhile, there was a 5-way Lucha Scramble. Sam Adonis picked up the victory. He was in that match with Armanis, Gringo Loco, ASF, and Drago Kid. So as a result of that 5-way Lucha Scramble that Sam Adonis won, he picked up the Warrior Wrestling Lucha Championship. Or Championship. Mil Muertes picked up a win over Beastman. KC Navarro defeated Myron Reed. Warhorse, meanwhile, beat up Rohit Raju. Filthy Tom Lawler got a win over Anthony Henry. Dante Martin and Sky Blue teamed up in a intergender match and got a victory over Kylie Ray and Isaiah Velasquez. And main event, I'm sure this will put a smile on some of you all's faces, Will Ospreay defeated Brian Cage. I said they'll probably put a smile on you all's face because I know a lot of you guys missed the hell out of Brian Cage on your AEW programming, but Brian Cage is still doing his thing over with other promotions. So AEW Dark Elevation for this week. This is your card. Layla Hirsch takes on Brittany Blake. Private Party take on Miles Hawkins and Action Andrade. Brandy Rhodes faces Willow Nightingale. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky team up to take on Logan Easton and LaRoux. Logan Easton, LaRoux, and Mike Fowler. Meanwhile, Red Velvet faces Janai Kai. Santana and Ortiz team up to face Bruix Keller and Goldie. And looks like Thunder Rosa is back in action as she teams up with Ruby Soho to face the team of Leva Bates and Jordan Blade. Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs face Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty. That is what's going down for this week's AEW Dark Elevation. Raw for this week. Again, y'all saw the show. I saw the show. We don't need to be long-winded about this. Look, when it comes to matches for this week's Raw, I think when it's all said and done, we can all be in agreement. The one-on-one match between Randy Orton, Chad Gable, which went 13 minutes long, that was a great fucking match. I'm just really liking this stage that Randy Orton is in right now with his in-ring wrestling career. It just really comes off as if Orton wants to do what he can to go out there, have fun, really entertain the fans, and if there's a way he can give some type of a rub off to somebody else in the process, he is all game for it. And what we have been seeing going down with him and this pairing with Matt Riddle, and then what they've been doing with the Alpha Academy these past couple of weeks, let's really make sure we're bringing this home. None of this would even be working on all cylinders if you don't have Randy Orton, who is pretty much the glue of it all, be a willing participant and really contribute to this and doing his part in getting everybody their respected rubs and everything. It's just kind of one of those when you really take a step back, you go, wow, just imagine you just wouldn't have the same effect. You wouldn't have the same fun. I don't even think you'd have the same execution if you have Randy Orton, if you don't have him in there as a willing, workable participant. Straight up. So his match with Chad Gable tonight, I could have watched them for honestly another 15 minutes. That's how good of a singles match this was. I didn't particularly care for the whole spelling bee contest, although I did get one hell of a fucking chuckle when Matt Riddle had to spell, oh fuck, I forgot the word that Matt Riddle had to spell. That fucking sucks. I should have written that down, but he made Randy Orton just look like he legitimately popped because Riddle was going, oh yeah, it's all like the stuff when I be wearing my ounces, right? And Randy Orton just literally lost his shits. That for me was just icing on the cake right there. I did like that. I did like that part of the whole spelling bee, but other than that, I particularly didn't care too much more for it. But the singles match with Orton and Gable, pretty damn good. Looks like next week is going to be a scooter race. Should be hilarious seeing Otis on a scooter, if that's even possible. I've seen some crazy things in my time, so that should be pretty interesting. AJ Styles taking on Austin Theory. Almost a 20-minute banger matchup. That was fucking good. That was fucking good. I enjoyed every minute of that one. That was a nice little nod there. I'm curious now what's going to happen with Vince McMahon going into Rumble weekend, because we had Vince McMahon this week pretty much say to Austin Theory, look, go out there and, and do something that'll really impress me. And, hopefully you take a really good picture. And yeah, but I chuckled a little bit when Austin Theory was getting ready to go out there for his match against AJ, and he forgot to take his phone, as his phone was left right there at the hands of Vince McMahon. And I just couldn't help but chuckle, because I'm going, nah, man, rule number 101, don't be leaving your phone unattended, around other people that, you don't know them like that, man, because heaven forbid you forgot to put on that lock mode. Oh, the contents a motherfucker's going to be able to find on your phone, especially considering the past controversy that Austin Theory was involved in, right? You get it? You get it? Kind of one of those type of deals. But no, their match this week, pretty good. Becky Lynch Dewdrop segment, for what it was worth, that was, that was relatively okay. Brock Lesnar to Bobby Lashley weigh-in, Royal Rumble weigh-in. I love seeing Bobby Lashley really take this shit so fucking seriously. He's trying to get legit weighed and all that, and you've got Brock Lesnar that's coming in there, and he just cowboy hat. He is dressed the winner part. Brock Lesnar tonight looked as though he just came off the set of Yellowstone or something. I mean, seriously, he was giving me that screaming cowboy vibe. I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a video that is floating around, and I know somebody's going to make this. If nobody makes this before the week is out, I'm going to be pretty fucking shocked. I might make it my damn self if I don't see anybody make this, but it's this screaming cowboy that's running around. You got this weird, funky ass techno music that's playing in the background, and there's this cowboy it's like a hologram of him or some shit. He's transparent looking. He's over this fucking Coors Light beer of a mountain, and he's just it's just fucking ridiculous. Just the screaming that this dude is doing. Yeah, but when Brock Lesnar came out tonight, I'm just picturing Brock Lesnar, and I'm just now I don't know if we give Brock that same little techno music and all that, or if we just put in his doom da doom doom da doom. And you just got Brock Lesnar. You just got him screaming in the background there. But yeah, Brock Lesnar just showing up, just being so nonchalant, not giving a fuck about this weigh-in, not taking it seriously, still calling Bobby Lashley Bobby Who and all of that. I like the story that we're telling right here, which is Brock Lesnar is essentially looking at Bobby Lashley as a joke. He thinks very little of him. He is more than just overconfident. I mean, this is a case right here where, are we really sure that Brock Lesnar is going about this the right way? Because, you just kind of, I like this narrative that we got going into their Rumble match, because we've got this narrative that's playing out here where, what if this comes back to bite Brock Lesnar in the ass? Seriously, what if this comes back to bite him in the ass? There's overconfidence, and then there's, my man, you just totally looked at your opponent and you thought very little of them. You obviously did not do no training. You obviously did not, you just thought very little of them. You thought you were just going to be able to show up and, because you are who you are, get a fucking victory. That feels like the narrative that's playing out right here. So, if so, I love it. I love it. I tell you what, I thought for sure as we were getting ready to wrap up the night that maybe Bobby Lashley and MVP were going to have some choice words for Paul Heyman. I thought for sure maybe they were going to somehow isolate Paul Heyman, get him in a 2-on-1 situation. You know, obviously we don't see Paul Heyman physically get beat up, but I thought for sure we were going to see some scenario play out tonight where Brock was going to be looking for Heyman, and then by the time he found Heyman bruised, beat up, knocked out, and when he realizes what the hell happened, you know, he tries to find MVP and Bobby Lashley, and maybe something would have went down where they would have, you know, just been getting ready to get into their limo or whatever, and maybe Bobby Lashley says to Brock Lesnar, "Oh, do I have your attention now? Do you now know my fucking name?" Drive off, you know, see you Sunday, champ. You know, I just wondered if maybe that would have been nice, right? That would have been nice, but yeah, there's a part of me that it felt a little bit flat. It just felt a little bit flat tonight with the weigh-in and everything. Other than that, I mean, look, what do I say about Bianca Belair picking up a win over Zelina Vega? I mean, that was just, it was a 3-minute match. A fucking 3-minute match. And then you had that tag match that went down with Carmella, Tamina, Nikki against Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Dana Brooke. Match ended in 2 minutes as Ripley had made Carmella tap out. Then post-match, Nikki Ash jumping on Rhea Ripley from behind. Nice little cheap shot from behind and all that. You know, obviously, you know, you were still spinning the narrative there of an eventual Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley one-on-one matchup. The Alexa Bliss psych evaluation there is continuing on. And I would imagine she's probably going to appear in the Rumble. Street Profits, Mysterios, for what that was worth. That was a pretty decent matchup. About 7 minutes. Mysterio's picking up the dub. That was a fairly decent match. The Edge, Beth Phoenix, Miz and Maurice segment. The birthday segment for Maurice. I felt that was a little bit flat. You know, your typical, you know, kind of your typical swan song there when it's all said and done. I didn't particularly care for it. Edge looked pretty damn good, though. I will say that. I was feeling that whatever cloth-looking vest that he had going on there, I was feeling that, you know. Man, he looked like he's gotten even more jacked in the guns there. I was feeling that. Should be a good matchup, honestly. Should be a good intergender tag team matchup when it's all said and done. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to do. But, man, Maurice is so beautifully stunning, is she not? I mean, that outfit that she was wearing tonight. Yo, she was letting them girls hang loose, man. Was she not? Seriously, she was letting them girls hang loose. Some good shit right there, man. But so episode of Monday Night Raw. Again, as far as the actual in-ring action goes for tonight, you really just had to home in on those two matches I mentioned earlier. AJ Styles, Austin Theory. And you definitely had to show love to Randy Orton and Chad Gable. You know, for what it was worth, you even can give honorable mention to the Damian Priest, Kevin Owens United States Championship match. That was, for what it was worth, pretty good. Priest feeling as though at one point Kevin Owens was faking an injury there, and he was just being relentless on his attacks. And sure enough, you know, he was right, because Kevin Owens had baited him, pretty much did a neck grab Damian Priest's head and pretty much snapped it up against the ropes there. Gave him a little bit of a whiplash. Tried to go in for a schoolboy pin. Wasn't able to pick up the dub as Priest kicked out. Match continued on. Owens tried to look for the stunner. Next thing you know, Priest was able to counter out of that, and he pretty much went into Hawk mode. Did Damian Priest beating up on Kevin Owens in the corner, losing his cool multiple times. Referee ultimately had no choice but to DQ Damian Priest, but DQ, Priest is still the champion. Sonya Deville had some tough words with him when she caught up with him backstage, saying he needed to control that because ultimately it would either cost him a championship, cost him money, cost him suspension, or worse. So she warned him to pretty much get his shit in order. So you can't help but wonder, okay, how's this gonna play out here, particularly for Kevin Owens? Is Kevin Owens gonna continue to try to exploit this, and are we maybe looking at Kevin Owens successfully coming away with that United States Championship down the road? You know, kind of something you got to have in the back of your head there. But it's also an episode of Monday Night Raw, all things considered, as we're going into this weekend's Royal Rumble. Speaking of Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey making the news. Fightful is reporting, as well as a couple of other outlets that are reporting that Ronda Rousey is slotted to be appearing at the Royal Rumble. Your guess is as good as mine if that's really going to happen or not. You know, I know that there was a period of time for a couple of years where you guys would ask me on random shows, especially on pay-per-view nights, you know, Lee, you know, what's going on with Ronda Rousey? Can you see Ronda Rousey? And I remember multiple times, man, we could come up with all kinds of really cool scenarios as far as Ronda Rousey, her returning, and, you know, blah this and blah that. And my whole thing was, look, she's trying to focus on having a kid. You know, obviously her priorities are not on wrestling right now, but yeah, you'd like to believe, sure, she'll ultimately come back. And I told you guys, she'll definitely pick up right where she left off and everything. Me personally, I haven't put in much thought. I haven't put in much stock into the idea of a Ronda Rousey returning at the Rumble, even after hearing this news. I still haven't really put much thought into it. You know, I've just kind of gotten to that point right now, in my life at least, where I'm just going, you know what? I'm just going to take it as it comes. I'm going to watch these shows. I'm really going to let the fan in me really come out and enjoy the hell out of these shows. And whatever happens during the process of these shows, I will just react accordingly. And, you know, it is what it is, as far as I'm concerned. You know, that's how I'm kind of looking at it now. Would it be really nice if Ronda Rousey made her return? God, yes, it would. That would help the women's division now tremendously. Just as a whole, it would help the women's division now tremendously. So, you know, there's definitely a part of me that's hoping that she does come back. There's a big part of me that's hoping that she does come back. But your guess is as good as mine, as far as if it's actually going to happen or not. Your guess is as good as mine, you know. By the way, I do see what you guys are saying in the chat there. I see from the memorabilia guy 1777. I see he was talking up a storm there earlier when we were talking about football and all that. I like when I'm talking about, you know, certain things that get you guys nice and worked up and all of that good stuff. I love that. I love those interactions. You know, even more important, I like when you all are interacting with each other. I really like seeing that particularly. But shout out to Jake had said earlier, I just shared your stream. That's cool. Let's see. I miss Cold Army deep in here because I'm seeing so much of, you know, just one person commenting, but I missed Cold Army's comment in there. He was saying that, yeah, indeed, yesterday was one of the best playoff games that he had watched earlier. Yeah, good stuff, man. Mustafa Ali. So it looks like Mustafa Ali is not getting his WWE release, it would appear. He publicly requested his release on January the 16th, and here we are pretty much a week later. And by all accounts, it looks as though, despite the roster cuts that's been made and everything, and WWE not doing anything with Mustafa Ali since October of last year, he pretty much went away because his wife was getting ready to give birth to their child, and so he had to go do his thing and all that. But looks like creative has nothing for you. They haven't had anything for him in a good series of months, and he's trying to get out, and looks like for all intents and purposes the company is not granting him his release just yet. Look, I really hope that Mustafa Ali can get his release. I really do, because it's just a disservice to the man. I'm sure he has had really great creative ideas, directions on what should happen with his character, and it was really funny seeing people make jokes at Mustafa, and this guy acts like he's not for nothing. He had some pretty damn good moments in his respected career, not for nothing, but for what it was worth. When Retribution was off on all cylinders, on the right footing, it was pretty good. Then it took that nosedive of what the fuck. I remember the stuff on SmackDown, and he was working with Brian Danielson, and I thought for sure, wow, okay, man, he's getting a serious rub off here from Danielson. This will surely put him in a really good, and nothing came to fruition. So I could understand, I think any of us can relate to being in that position where, you're at your respected employer and you're thinking of really great, innovative ideas that can make the workflow even better, that can make your job, the boss's job, everybody's job even better. And when those ideas that you're bringing to the table is pretty much being shut down, you're told, we appreciate feedback. We love input. We love those that think outside the box. We love those that really try to be team players. Right? You hear this good game that's being sold to you, and when it comes time to actually deliver the goods, now granted, not every single, but you all that's out there, you've had your fair share, just like I've definitely have had my fair share of, and it all falls on deaf ears. And then at that point, you just pretty much say, yeah, I think I might be kind of done with this, yo. I think it might be time for me to go in a different direction, because I ain't really being heard over here. And you got to do what you got to do. And, it's kind of interesting what's going on here with Mustafa Ali. Your guess is as good as mine as far as what's going to happen with him. Could we maybe see him return at the Rumble? Your guess is as good as mine. By all accounts, I'm going to say no. I mean, it's gotten so bad that a fan pointed out to Mustafa how WWE on Fox Twitter account had mentioned the whole, this fan had mentioned the hashtag Free Ali to WWE on Fox or whatever. WWE on Fox, I guess whoever's in charge of that account saw them, blocked their ass. Mustafa Ali found out about it and said, oh, it's like that. And he went on ahead and blocked WWE on Fox's Twitter account. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, as I highly doubt Mustafa Ali is going to be in the Rumble. But, I don't understand why he's not involved in a major story arc of any kind. He wants out. Give him his opportunity. I don't understand what the problem with that is. I want to send nothing but thoughts, love, mad speedy recovery. This is wrestling related. Konnan. If you all did not hear the news about Konnan, and I know that my podcasting brother in arms DT is probably going to be talking about this week, because I know he did a Konnan drive for Konnan. He did a Konnan drive because Konnan had needed help with a kidney transplant back in, I think, 2007. But Konnan had recently confirmed that he needs a new kidney transplant. Yeah, he had addressed it on his Keeping It 100 podcast, talking about what all's been going on with his health recently. I actually have part of the transcript here. He had said in part what happened was, remember the story I told when I took the bump from FTR and I fractured my rib. I fractured my rib and tore my labrum and dislocated my shoulder. I had been having all these pains and I thought it was from the rib injury. I was like, I better not fuck around with this anymore. I called my cardiologist and was like, come take a stress. And they were like, come take a stress test. I took a stress test and they said I couldn't go home because I might have a heart attack. He went on to say, we're going to have to go in and see what's up. He put a catheter in and they said I had a blockage. We don't know if we need to put a stent or if it's open heart surgery, but we can't operate because your kidneys are fucked up. You might have to go on dialysis. To make a long story short, they didn't have to do open heart surgery. It was a stent that they put in, but my kidneys got fucked up by COVID. COVID fucked up my kidneys and heart. Now I have to get a kidney donor again. Yeah, so he's got to get a new kidney. So that is, you hear that, it's just, oof. That is just rough to hear. That is just rough to hear. Look, I don't know what's going on with Konnan's, is he a mask, anti-mask? Does he believe in vaccinations and all that? Those that actually check out his podcast or follow him on social media, that's kind of one of those you would have to enlighten me and the audience on and everything. But I hope that he has been doing his very best to stay safe as best as humanly possible with these strange times that we're in right now. But to hear that he needs another kidney transplant, that's rough to hear. That is really, really rough to hear. So my thoughts definitely go out to Konnan. I'm hoping nothing but the very best for him. And anything as far as I don't know. Like if he were to create a GoFundMe or if he's trying to create some type of a campaign, anything down the road as far as trying to find a donor or whatever, I'll definitely bring that news to you guys' attention. I promise you guys. TV ratings for all the shows this week. Everything did pretty good. I saw Impact Wrestling's rating. It had went up. I see SmackDown had went up as well. SmackDown went up. Was it 2.225 million viewers this past Friday? Up 14%. Pretty good. Rampage this past Friday, they did 594,000. That's their highest viewership since November 5th. The previous week, they had did only 526,000. So that's pretty good. Dynamite was up as well. Dynamite had grabbed a little over 1 million, and they grabbed a 0.44 rating. So that's pretty good. 570,000 of their viewers were in the 18 to 49 demo. So that's pretty good. All the shows went up this past week except for Raw. Raw was actually, in the low number there. So Impact Wrestling, even though I said what I said earlier about Impact Wrestling, I'm still keeping tabs for you guys on what's going on. And it looks like at their most recent batch of Impact tapings in Florida, they had a lot of complications. They had a bunch of people that were diagnosed with COVID, and they pretty much had to go into COVID protocols. You had people that may have been exposed to individuals that had COVID, and so they had to go into some type of COVID protocol measures for safety precautions. So there were a lot of people that were supposed to be at the last batch of Impact tapings that unfortunately were not able to be at those tapings. So it had shook things up in a really big way. So I'm very curious to see what's going to come about with these next batch of tapings. As a result, like, did they go ahead on with what they had in place from a couple of days ago, or did they push it back? I know this much. Their current schedule for tapings, it's as follows. They only got to deal with a couple of more dates as far as wintertime goes. But February 19th, that's going to be the No Surrender pay-per-view from New Orleans. February 20th, they are doing a TV taping at the Alamo Center in New Orleans. Then March 5th, they've got the Sacrifice pay-per-view in Louisville. March 6th, they got a TV taping in Louisville. March 18th, they have a TV taping in Philadelphia at the 2300 Arena. March 19th, they'll be at the 2300 Arena as well. And then now here's where we start to definitely get warm. April 23rd, they've got the Rebellion pay-per-view at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in New York. And then the very next day, same venue. They're going to be at the same venue again. So hopefully by April, everything will be a little bit better for them. This winter time, that's how it is everywhere. We all got to get through this and everything. Hell, I'm trying to get through this frigid temperature just so I can have the new dog, Chloe, just so I can have her be able to go outside. She has not done her walks yet. She's getting her size. She's getting the height. Her legs she can go. She just can't do stairs, but she could definitely go. But with these frigid temperatures that we're in right now, I've continued to have her do her potty and all that in the bathtub with a pad out and everything. So unkind temperatures that we're dealing with right now. So when you think about for your furry friends, and then the fact that this is the peak of the winter season right now, a lot of people are probably going to get even more sicker and all of that other crazy shit right now. So with this pandemic on top, all things considered. So a lot of craziness that's going on right now. But hopefully Impact doesn't get sidelined too long, and they'll be able to do what they do best, because they have been putting in the effort. It has been showing. It has been showing in their work. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and call it. We're at about an hour 57 of a show, so pretty much an hour 58 when it's all said and done. Let's call it. So your next edition of the RCWR show, Tuesday night, I will be doing a NWA Power recap show, and I will pretty much I'm going to just combine everything that's been happening, because we didn't talk about NWA USA last week. We didn't talk about Power. So we're going to have a nice little discussion going into this week's show. So we'll have that. And then also this week, I don't know if I'll do it Wednesday or Thursday, but I'm definitely going to be talking about those never before seen WOW shows. I'm going to be doing those just one a week at this rate. And at the rate that we put them out, that should buy us, by the time we're done, that should buy us just a couple of months until, the new season gets ready to come out. They said fall, so I think with the episodes that they got out right now, that should keep us busy for maybe about 2 months if we're lucky, maybe 2.5 months. So we'll have a little bit of a ways to go, but I'm already thinking ahead of some innovative ways that we can kind of keep the talk going of WOW even past that. So I'll let you guys know in the coming weeks. Wednesday, we got a new show for you guys. We'll be on at 10 p.m. Eastern after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. We'll get into Dynamite Fallout. We will get into the Royal Rumble card officially. I'll give you guys my picks, my predictions, and all of that. We'll also finally unveil all the categories for the Sanders Awards for this past year. We'll reveal all the wrestling categories, so that'll be fun. So loads to look forward to as far as content this week. And then, of course, we got the Royal Rumble post show this weekend. So a lot of good stuff we're going to be doing for you guys. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit that like button. Helps me out a ton. Feel free to subscribe as well. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. So those of you that tuned in live, appreciate y'all as always. Those of you that's going to be checking this out for on demand and the downloads, y'all know exactly who you are. Much love as always. Until next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. Y'all take care. Peace.